Hip, hip, hooray for DNA. It provides the key to the plans for making everything in you and me.
Welcome to another past HSC exam question videos. This exam question comes from the DNA to protein chapter. What I'll do in a second, I'll read the actual question. Once I read the question, you get about 5 seconds to pause the video. Once you pause the video, attempt the question and press play when you're ready. So the question itself, there's 2 parts to this question. A is define the concept of punctuated equilibrium in evolution. That's for 1 mark. And B is how does punctuated equilibrium differ from the process proposed by Darwin? And that's for 3 marks. Right? So pause the video and attempt the question. Welcome back. Alright, for the first one, obviously it says define as a verb itself, and it's worth 1 mark, so we don't have to write too much. So we have to just define what the concept of punctuated equilibrium is. And remember, the main 2 parts is that it's a rapid evolution, so that happens really quickly, and after that quick evolution, we have a long period of stability. So a long period of stability. And it occurs through natural selection. So if you write these 2 points, you should get your 1 mark. So what I wrote is punctuated equilibrium consists of periods of rapid evolution. It's where that change is really quick, often due to severe environmental change, followed by periods of little to no change, which means the environment itself has stabilized. And that be your 1 mark. And B, how does punctuated equilibrium differ from the process proposed by Darwin? And that's worth 3 marks. So in this case it says, how does it differ? So how is it different? So I mean, you can talk about natural selection and what they have in common. But the main part is, in this case, it talks about how is it different, not how is it alike. Now you would obviously talk about Darwin's being gradual and over long periods of time. Gradual and long periods of time. Whereas, as we mentioned earlier, punctuated equilibrium is all about being rapid and rapid evolution and then stability for long periods of time. In this case, Darwin says it takes a long period of time and the change is gradual, whereas with punctuated equilibrium, that's not the case. So what I wrote is, all of this comes at once. That was not the plan. Alright, but I'll just break it down. Darwin proposed the idea that evolution is a gradual process. So right now I'm talking about Darwin's evolution. It takes long periods of time. So it's step by step. The original species will have changed to new species, new and more complex organism over this period of time. Right? So we had that horse example, the tiny horse going into the bigger horse, and there were fossils found throughout the years. So we see the transitional forms of those in between creatures. The idea of punctuated equilibrium also involves a change of one species into another over time. So I guess this is how they are similar. That wasn't the main focus. We had to talk about how they're different, but I just put them in there as well. But it proposed that this change can occur very rapidly. So, and I mentioned relatively speaking, because obviously, I mean, very rapidly sounds like it might take 2 years, whereas we're still talking about tens of thousands, or if not hundreds of thousands of years. It's just as opposed to millions of years for Darwin's evolution. And it's not a gradual process. So it's very rapid, and it's not a gradual process. Rapid change in the environment quickly eliminates members of species that are not adapted to a new environment through natural selection, and once the environment stabilizes, a new form of the species has evolved. And what you can write as well, what it could have written, is that once the environment stabilizes, there is a stable, so the evolution stops. So after the environment stabilizes, so the evolution also stabilizes, which means the creature doesn't change too much anymore. Rapid change followed by little to no change. What it could have also included was the whole idea of, we had in the video we talked about how there was this one bug on the side, like on the edges of the actual grass, and there might have been like grass close by as well. And I said, just imagine if the actual grass here turned into desert, and there were creatures all over the place. These would have all died because it would have not been adapted to it. But then this one bug might have just hopped to the other side and might have just gone onto the grassland, and thereby this becomes eventually a new species. Right, so we talked about this concept as well, which is also part of punctuated equilibrium. We've also got marks. But the main idea is that it happens over a short period of time. It's very rapid, and then it halts, whereas Darwin's takes a long period of time. It's very gradual, and like a horse or anything else, evolved over millions and millions of years. So we get marks for saying what Darwin's evolution is like. We get marks for saying, again, putting the points in terms of punctuated equilibrium, and maybe also by going into a bit more detail as well. So in terms of, we say rapid and stable, and then linking that to the environment. So it's rapid because the environment changes, and then it's stable because the environment stabilizes. And it's worth 3 marks, and you would get your 3 marks out of 3 for that. Where that question come from? It came from this syllabus dot point. Describe the concept of punctuated equilibrium in evolution and how it differs from the gradual process proposed by Darwin. So again, this is more or less exactly these 2 dot points taken from the syllabus dot point. I hope that was useful.
Thank you for watching.